So the mission of the church, I want you to tell people that right now, what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we say that our church is here to lead disconnected and unfulfilled people. And what we mean by that is disconnected from maybe relationships in the community, disconnected from a life-giving church, disconnected from a relationship with Jesus, and unfulfilled, maybe in a sense of meaning and purpose and significance. And then together we could grow towards a full life in Jesus. And so what we mean by that is, okay, yeah, there's a forever kind of a thing going on, but we do think that that can start for people right here now.
What's up, Camden County? You are catching episode 88 of the Getting in Your Business podcast. I'm your host, Allison Shores with the Camden County Chamber of Commerce. This Getting in Your Business podcast is made possible by our Chairman Circle sponsors, Georgia's Own Credit Union, Lockheed, Comcast, Georgia Power Company, Sparklight, Plug Power, St. Mary's DDA, TDS Telecom, and Ameris Bank. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Okay, guys, I'm really excited about today's podcast. I have Jon McClarnon, who is the lead pastor at Christ Church Camden.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm just glad you're here. So I don't even know where to start with this podcast, but I will say this. I attend your church, and I started there because we came for a ribbon cutting, and not for the church, but for your Hope 1312 closet. And I'm going to tell you, David and I went and sat in the service, and I was moved during that service. It was a whole thing. And we've been going ever since. So I'm really glad you're here because there's a lot of things going on at Christ Church Camden, and I want people to know about it. I've seen a lot of questions about churches. So I thought, why not bring one in here and talk about it?
All right, I'll do my best.
Okay. All right. So first, let's get to know you a little bit. I don't know if people know a whole lot about you. So where are you from?
So I grew up in Missouri and ended up staying there for college. That's where I met my wife, who grew up in Oklahoma. Got married 34 years ago.
34 years.
Yep, 34 years ago.
Congratulations to that.
3 adult kids, about to be a 4th grandchild any day now. And we moved all those people to North Carolina, where we lived for 20 years.
20 years.
And then ended up in Camden in 2018. So that explains all the weird sports loyalties.
I was about to say.
So it's like...
Because you have a lot of them.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows you're
the Chiefs. Yeah. Oklahoma.
Duke, basketball.
Duke basketball. So.
Yeah. It's funny. Okay. Duke.
There's a reason. There's a reason.
Why not North Carolina?
Well, I started following Duke when I was still living in Missouri.
Okay.
So to date myself, in the mid 80s or so, my brother said, we got to pick a team better than Missouri. And so we picked Duke. So.
And Duke was it?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. All right. So you got here in 2018?
2018. Yep. September the 1st.
And you came here to be the lead pastor?
Yep. Specifically for the church. So.
Okay. So what do you think about Camden County so far?
We love Camden County, believe it or not.
We do too.
I know it gets a bad rep sometimes from people who maybe grew up here, but I think the people that are choosing to live here do so because they love it. And
absolutely.
I think the very first time we drove into the county, it was just kind of a feeling. I'll call it, spiritual feeling in terms of, I think something really special could happen here. And I think God could use a church or a number of churches to actually, the way we say it these days, flip the spiritual climate.
Yep.
And so for us, it was getting to meet the people, some of the very best people I've ever met in my life.
Agreed.
Sitting in the service on Sunday going, I'm going to be confused if they don't ask me to come here because I think this is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And all that happened really, really quickly. And
well, I'll say this, a lot has changed with the church. And I don't mean changed, I mean grown, I guess. I guess you've really just grown it in a lot of ways. Like right now, you're going to add a 4th service on Thursdays. Thursday night service.
Yeah. So
that's something I've never heard of.
Yeah.
But I'm very interested. I think David and I are going to start going to the Thursday night. And I was like,
Yeah. So we already do Sunday morning, 8:30, 10, 11:30. They're all pretty much the same service, kids, all services. But we're, a lot of reasons for the new service. I mean, we're running out of space.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to find a parking spot. I feel like things are going to continue to grow, not just at the church, but in our community in the next season. And so we're trying to prepare for that. And so we actually put it back to the people in the church for several Sundays to say, hey, when would you most likely come and bring someone? And we ended up on Thursday. So.
Hey, I like it. something that y'all have talked about in church is about flipping the spiritual climate of Camden County. So the mission of the church, I want you to tell people that right now, what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we say that our church is here to lead disconnected and unfulfilled people. And what we mean by that is disconnected from maybe relationships in the community, disconnected from a life-giving church, disconnected from a relationship with Jesus, and unfulfilled, maybe in a sense of meaning and purpose and significance. And then together we could grow towards a full life in Jesus. And so what we mean by that is, okay, yeah, there's a forever kind of a thing going on, but we do think that can start for people right here now. So.
And I like something that you guys are very concentrated on Camden County, not so much outside of Camden County. I know that we all pray for everything, but you focus your efforts in what you're doing in Camden County, and I really, really like that. I don't know what you would call it. I guess it's your little tagline. Is that what it is?
Well, we have a couple of values, and we would say that we're for Camden. That's one of our highest values, which just simply means we want the community to be a better place because the church exists.
Yeah.
And if we should ever not exist, that people would be sad about that,
Yeah.
And so just trying to make a difference where we live.
Well, now, what is, like, when you first got here, what did you really think about all the rest of, like, all the other churches? Because we do have a lot of churches in Camden County, and I know that can be difficult. And something that I've found to be difficult is getting all the pastors together in the same room. Wanting to talk to them. Or I know y'all are busy and all the things, but I've seen that you've gotten some pastors together and kind of, and maybe not you specifically, but y'all have provided a place where y'all can all come together and try to have conversations and stuff.
Yeah, well, first off, when we moved to Camden County, there was no Starbucks. So that's the starting point.
Yeah,
I was driving to Yulee to go to Starbucks, and I was meeting pastors down there because that's where they like to hang out, And, but yeah, that was just kind of something, and I probably was maybe it was an advantage that I was coming in new and fresh. And it was shortly after I got here, I sent an email to as many pastors as I could get in touch with and just said, hey, new to town, would love to hear your story. Let's have coffee or lunch and tell me what's happening at your place. And, ended up having a few of those, and it's been a slow process. And I feel like we were making some really good progress getting churches together right before COVID. And then COVID interrupted everything for everyone.
Yeah.
And I would say in the last 2 years, we're slowly getting it back together again. And we've probably had, we've hosted several breakfasts over at the church for pastors. We've had as many as 50 people in the room for that. And we just did one last week, and you can just kind of tell it's building, and there's more sense of comfortable with one another. And I say the same thing every time I get a chance to stand in front of other pastors in our community. And it goes like this. Hey, regardless of what you've heard or think, or maybe even have been told is true, I'm for you.
Yeah.
And our church is for you. And we want every church in our community to be full and flourishing.
We're all on the same mission. And so I find it, I just find it strange that sometimes we can't all get in the same room and talk. But I love our church community here in Camden County, and I think it adds so much. It's just, I don't know. I think if we all work together, because we all do well, with a couple here and a couple here, but if we all work together, I can't imagine what could actually happen in Camden County.
Yeah, and I think most people who are part of those churches are waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
So, hey, if the pastors could get on the same page, wow, it would really make a big difference.
Yeah.
And we're seeing some of that. I'm very optimistic about that.
Well, I know it's something that I have been, because I want to get all the pastors together for completely different reasons than probably what you're doing. But just seeing how hard it was, I was like, man. And there are a lot of churches. There are over 100 churches in this community. I don't think people realize that. So I always get asked on the military tour, like, why are there so many churches here? And I always blame it on the South. But us being in the Bible Belt. But I think that over time we've just had a lot of churches, and I don't think people realize how big our county is. It is huge, and there's a lot in the north end that people don't even realize is happening. Now, I want to talk about some of the things that you have going on at the church. I don't know if people know about the Hope 1312 Closet. I don't know if they know that y'all now have a preschool. What you're doing with the youth. I want to know all the things. So because I see people asking questions, and I'm like, well, let's start talking about this is what this church offers. So let's talk about some of those things.
All the things, huh?
All the things. You can start where you want.
Well, we do, the Sunday morning stuff. So those 3 services, and you have all the kids stuff happening. So, infant all the way up to 5th grade, every service, every Sunday. We have a middle school happening, take place on Sunday morning as well. And then middle school and high school primarily does Wednesday nights. So first Wednesday of the month, they're doing big, fun games, music, teaching, large group kind of stuff. And then the other Wednesdays, they do what we call house parties, which are more mid-sized, grade-based. And
they're called house parties?
Yeah.
I like
so
it.
It just sounds a little bit better than a small group or something, So it's a little bit more of a hangout, and they all get linked together watching the same video teaching from our student pastor, and it's very community based. So that's really taken off, and we keep adding houses to the mix. So you can only hold so many kids in a house. So that stuff's happening for that. We do all the stuff, camps and retreats and that kind of thing. But in terms of you mentioned preschool. We started the preschool last year. I think this year there's 42 or so kids who are enrolled over there.
Are you going to be taking more?
Yeah.
Or are you capped out?
No, I think there's room for a few more, but I'm not in charge of it, so
I don't have kids. So when we say preschool, like this is just like 4-year-olds?
2, 3, and 4.
2, 3, and 4. Okay.
And so the goal would be to keep adding to that. So over time.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think it's getting good reviews from the people that are there.
I've only heard good things.
Yeah. And we started it really because one, I thought there was a need for it in the community, but we also, just as part of our idea that we're for Camden, is make it about as affordable as possible.
And that's, I did not realize until recently, and then this is terrible, but I didn't realize how expensive that stuff is for people. And I was like, well, you might as well not even work. If it's going to, you might as well just stay home at this point. I didn't realize that that's where people, in a day and age where it's getting harder and harder for people to live on a single income families, what they're making. I don't know. I just think it's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you're on that.
So we got that. I mean, you mentioned kind of some of the foster care stuff that we started a couple of years ago. The closet you mentioned is stocked with diapers and food and car seats and things like that.
It blew my mind when I saw it. I was just like, wait, is that a mattress? Is that
yeah. I mean, and let's say that you decide to foster and you end up with a 2-year-old, and you guys go, we don't have anything for a 2-year-old. You can come to the closet and get what you need to get by for the first couple of days.
Yeah, because you have to have those things in order to take the child. Correct.
Yeah.
And I think too, sometimes people need certain things so they don't get their children taken away. It's not always abuse and those kinds of things. Sometimes they, you are required to have a bed for a child to sleep on. And so I think providing those things for the families that are just trying their hardest to make, things work. I think that's amazing too.
And we're using the care portal system. And so a lot of those needs that sometimes pop up, DFACS is able to send them our direction. We send it out to people who are on the email list. And this covers more than just our church. There are several churches involved in that. And then people are able to meet those needs. So if you're on the email list, you could receive it and say, oh, I could do that, or we can make that happen. And so it really decentralizes ministry from the church to the people who are receiving that news. And to date, 100% of those needs have been met.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Now I had somebody come in my office and they said, "Can you please tell me where there are what church does a Bible study?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, what do you mean?" And she's like, "There's no church in Camden County that does a Bible study for women or for all these." And I was like, "There are a lot of churches that." I don't know where you're looking, but there are a lot of churches. So I do want you to talk a little bit about some of the Bible studies, because David and I went through one. We've been through several, but Rooted was the first one. And I'm going to be honest, I I don't know that I was just like, yay, I can't wait to do this. I was like, we're going to see how this goes. And, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel in this small group, but it was amazing. David and I had a great time. I love doing Rooted, and the relationships that I made in that Bible study, like I still have those relationships, and they're still growing. And even fast forward to the next one that we did, the message-based one, where we got to go through as you did, as the message, and then do a Bible study with that weekly. And I thought that was really cool. And it was a whole nother group of people. I had a couple that were, from my last one, and I just making relationships. And in a time where people are talking about not being able to connect and losing some of they don't know how to meet people, they don't know how to do things. And I know it can seem scary, but like the Bible studies that y'all have, I think, and maybe other churches too, but that's a perfect way to meet people and the right kind of people. And, and you don't have to know the Bible, front and back to be a part of a Bible study. And I wish more people knew that. You don't even have to be, 100% sold on Christianity and the Bible to go to these Bible studies, just to figure out, maybe, is this for you?
Yeah.
So I want to talk about how you started the Rooted series, because I really like it.
Yeah. Well, Rooted was just kind of an answer we were it was an answer to the question we were asking coming out of 2020, which was like, what if we could get people to do one thing, like take a next step, what would we want them to do? And so some of that was things my friends were doing and they were talking about, and we're like, let's try Rooted, So Rooted is 10 weeks. You have readings every day. Then you get with your group once a week, and you have some different experiences kind of sprinkled in there, prayer experience, serve experience. And my selling point, you've heard it before, is of the 10 weeks, the first one's a dinner and the last one's a dinner. So there's two, there's 20% of it right there. So,
but you're not playing about that. Like
that's exactly how it works. Yeah.
It is how it works.
Yeah.
I think I was surprised, and you would think having this job, like I would be comfortable just walking into rooms where I don't know people, because it's kind of what I do on a daily basis. But with this, it was a little bit different because it's me personally, and we're going to be talking about the Bible and Jesus, and with people I don't know. I think that can feel intimidating, and I get that, but I want people to know, if anything else, if you don't get anything else, is that go to the Bible study. It's not day one you will feel like, okay, I can do this, you know? And I want to commend you guys for the environment that you set with these Bible studies, because I think it gives other people to pray for them, other people to bounce their ideas off of. I think it's not so black and white. There's room for all kinds of discussions. And I just really liked it.
And no entrance exam, like you just,
none. You just go. And I thought that was just really cool.
I think any church that's growing larger, you have to find ways to connect in smaller groups.
You do.
That really serves that purpose too.
But I want other people to know that even if you're like not going to church right now, it's not hard to start. Like, just try something out, And I think I hear it all the time from people that I interact with, like, it's just so hard to connect. It's so hard to connect here. I can't connect with people. And, I would invite people to start at a church. It doesn't have to be your church, just a church, and see if you can meet the kind of people you're looking for in these churches, because they do have all kinds of activities and ways that you can get connected.
Yeah. And I would never say we're the best church by any means. We're a church in our community, and there's a number of good churches. So, yeah. I would go check one.
Yeah, we've got great people. You've got a solid team, I would say. The team behind you, you have Matt, who's doing the music. I think they were here before. They've come back. We love Dan. He's come to several of our of our chamber things. I forced him to get over there and do it, but he's been great. He's lots of fun. I don't know. I feel like everything with Christ Church is not. It doesn't just revolve around you. It's very much a team thing, and I love that.
Yeah, I don't want it to revolve around me.
You don't even
want to. Don't want to be. I do my very best to lay as low as possible.
I know, which you've taken criticism for.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, some people want you to, like, you should want to be around all the people all
Right.
the time.
Yeah. Be the brand,
Be the
that kind of
brand,
thing.
yeah.
And so it's just not.
But I like that. I like that about you. And I like you're not, I don't know. It's just not all about you.
I mean, I do. You can find me in the community. I'm
For
probably
sure.
in the office at
For
Planet
sure.
Fitness and Publix every single day. And so not hard to find, but if I'm well known, it's probably not going to be for a good reason.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. I can't say same
And-
because my story's completely different. But
I'm sure like our jobs are very similar in some ways.
Mhm.
And, one of my quotes that I've hung on to forever, old pastor named Vance Havner
Mhm.
said that pastors and maybe chamber presidents should have the mind of a scholar, the heart of a child, and the hide of a rhinoceros.
Amen to
And that your main challenge is to develop the hide without hardening the heart.
And that is very difficult.
Yeah.
Man, you got me
So-
thinking and reflecting right now.
Yeah.
What is it like for you? It has to be a little, I don't know, you probably laugh at it at this stage of the game, but when people don't know you're a pastor, let's say you're getting your hair cut or, they're making conversation with you, eating or something, like, and it comes up, they ask what you do. Like, what kind of response do you get?
So we're having dinner last night here in our community,
Okay.
and the server comes over and says, "Hey, so you're a pastor?" And I've never met this person before in my life, and so it was a conversation that happened back in the kitchen. Somebody that knew kind of ratted me out,
Yeah.
and so it's there's a weird dynamic for me because every week I share pretty personal stuff
Mhm.
to large numbers of people,
Mm-hmm.
and they know me.
Yeah.
And then I'm on the other end, and I don't even always know if you're a part of our church. And sometimes that's a negative for sure, but it's just kind of the point where we've gotten,
Mm-hmm.
And so I just try to be aware all the time, that
Yeah.
I will try to say hi and smile to everybody just
Yeah.
in case, like.
Well, I've been with you and you'll say, she goes to our church.
Yeah.
And then you always say, hey, or he goes to our church. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen that happen.
And
So
especially, I think,
can't
weird for my wife too, because, she would just as soon be like not recognized in the least bit. And so, when I do talk about her, people are go, "Hey, we know her." Usually what they say when they meet her is, "We've been praying for you,"
Oh, I'm sure. Everybody prays for Chris McClarnon. Yeah.
Yeah. She's awesome. But, I mean, it's just what I've done my whole life.
Have you? You've been a pastor your whole life?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I would
So you've
say,
called it a young age.
yeah, all the way back to when I was in high school.
Mm.
And so I think if you don't have a calling story like that, that you're not going to last through some of the things that you go through.
Yeah.
So you got to have an anchor point in the past where you can look back and go, okay, I know there was one point in time where God really led me to do this thing. And that allows you to get through some of the other challenging times. But I would say that specifically here at Christ Church, and I've said it before many times, that aside from being, husband to Chris, dad to Jordan, Jessica, and Desiree, and now a pop to Skylar, Ellis, and Maeve, and then a fourth one any day now. Yep. That being the pastor here has been the greatest privilege of my life.
Really?
Yep.
That's awesome. Wow. I love it.
Yep.
I love what you've done with it. I'm going to say something about you. And I truly mean this. I am proud to be a part of a church that doesn't put its pastor on a pedestal. Now, it may feel to you like sometimes you're put on a pedestal, but instead we put Jesus up there. And I think, I don't know, that's important to me. And I'm very, and I'm not trying to say this is the only church that ever does that. I'm just saying that this is my experience at church. And I don't know, I appreciate that. I appreciate that you keep the main thing. And
well, and you mentioned it, like it's not me. Like I'm a part of what's happening. There's an amazing group of people, a team who are doing all sorts of kinds of things that they're probably not going to get credit for.
Yeah.
And that's not just our paid staff, but there's just a ton of people who give their time and their talents and,
I feel that 100% because I tend to get a lot of the credit when it comes to the chamber stuff, and I wish people knew how little I have to do with a lot of the things that go on. First of all, God met me in a place where this whole chamber was on prayers and tears because I didn't know what I was doing. And I tell people, like, you shouldn't praise me because I literally just show up some days. And I think that that's pretty much all God really requires. And just show up and he'll do the rest. But the amazing people that I have in at the chamber, Canaan St. Rose for one, but just from my board to like members that have just gotten on board with what we're doing, it's just been amazing. And they never get the credit that I wish I could always give them, so I get that 100%. I see it, I recognize it in the different places I'm involved in. So I like it. I love that our church is going in this direction and is really, it feels like a family. And I think that's how church should feel. So anyway, I appreciate it.
Good.
What else do you want to talk about? Because we covered the Bible studies. You've got several different ones. You also have like a financial peace course. There's several different things that you have. What else? What am I missing?
Those are some, Rooted is like, hey, if you've never been a part of a group or you're new to the church, we would ask you to go through that. Financial peace happens very regularly. You mentioned message base, and to me, honestly, that was a thing that we started experimenting with and after 2020.
Really?
Because you think about, I don't know if we want to go down this road or not. You think about what was happening in 2020 in our world. We had COVID, we had racial tension off the charts. We had election. We had
there was a lot.
Like nobody could really agree on anything. And so for me, when we were coming back to meeting again, I just wanted everybody to be on the same page. And I didn't want, a leader hosting a group of people at their house and it turning into, something other than Bible study and that kind of thing. So that's what we did. Hey, you will talk in your group about what we're talking about on Sunday morning. And so I knew everybody was kind of doing the same thing. And so we've just continued that to this day. So,
but I really like that. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about the message based if it would be something that I liked. But I do.
Yeah.
I did like it.
Well, I grew up in church my whole life, and we went to Sunday school on Sunday morning, and we learned one thing, and then you go to worship service and you learn something else. You come back Sunday night and you get a third thing, and then if you do Wednesday night, there's a fourth thing, and they're not all connected in the least bit, and no one can handle that much. And so, I think the message-based group is there to reinforce. When I stand on the stage, it's one-way communication.
Yeah.
But you can sit in a group of people and say, I think he's wrong,
or whatever. Yeah.
Or I think, here's what I really think about that. And here was my understanding of that. And then it reinforces what the next step is going to be for you.
And I liked hearing what everybody got out of it. Like I got to hear their interpretation or their, what God was saying to them through different things. I like being able to talk that out. I just thought it was really, really interesting and really a neat way to do things. Man, I could keep you here forever because now I just want to go on, I want to ask you all kinds of stuff, but I'm not going to do that on the podcast. But was there anything else that you wanted to talk about as far as Christ Church Camden or anything like that?
I don't know. Like you said, we could talk for a long time probably about stuff and share stories. I think like if people are listening and you have a church, I think you should jump in with absolutely everything you have. And I think you should serve and you should give and you should do everything you can to see the mission of that church go forward. And if you're listening and you're like, okay, I'm not, and you're thinking about it, then again, there's a number of churches in our community that would be really good options. We're one of those. And if you're looking to connect with some people and go, okay, I'm looking for some meaning or something different in my life, and you find your way in, I think you'll find a place where you don't have to have it all figured out when you show up.
You don't. And, that's a very powerful message because I grew up in church. I know all the things, church on Sundays, Wednesdays. just anytime the youth group was doing anything. I got to college and I had a lot of fun, and I'm going to say that God was not at the top of my list. And it was like, I was like, wait, I can do all these things. And I had fun, and I did a lot of things I'm not proud of. Did a lot of things, just fell away from God in general. And I think when you fall back, sometimes it's not always this big thing that leads you back to God. Sometimes it's showing up to a ribbon cutting, and things happen that, you realize. And I can just say this, you don't have to have your life perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't even have to be doing all the right things to walk into church and get started. And I don't want people to be afraid. I want I don't care what you've done in your life,
Listen, if people knew how much I didn't have it figured out, you wouldn't want me to be the pastor. So.
Listen, that's what I say about the chamber. So, but I don't know. I just think that, people get intimidated and think that, they're not people are going to look at them funny or be a certain way if they walk into church. And I'm here to say anybody can come sit with me at any given time at church. And I just want people to get there. And I think in a world where people are just looking for anything to hold on to and are losing hope in a lot of things, this is definitely a place where you can go and latch on.
Absolutely.
Well, Jon, thank you so much for taking the time to do this podcast with me.
Thanks for having me.
It. All right, guys, you have caught episode 88 of the Get In Your Business podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe, and get to church.